great to be a Cowboy, isn't it? This is how we do stuff. This is the Cowboys. We're trying to do something. Really, it's time to lead the football team. It's time. It's your time.
It's our time right now. 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 It's our time right now.
He was a giant, and he was a cowboy. Now these two former rivals have joined forces to bring you the most insightful, perceptive, and controversial sports talk podcast in America. Former Dallas Cowboys defensive end Jim Jeffcoat locks horns with former New York Giants wide receiver Byron Williams. And now, here's Byron Williams and Jim Jeffcoat.
Ooh. Let me bring this off on you guys. Sorry about that. Go ahead and get it, guys.
Good evening. First of all, before we even start, Byron, I got to give a shout out. My son sent me Winnipeg is in the finals. They win this, they go to the Grey Cup up in Canada. So I got to give a shout out to him. He sent me that jacket.
Congratulations to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Yeah, and he told me, hey, if they win, he got me that jacket because he said, Dad, it's going to be cold up there. So I'm ready for it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited.
That's real football weather up there, baby.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. No question. No question. A lot of stuff to talk about tonight. A lot of things going on. Some good, some bad, unfortunately. And
absolutely.
Big Thursday night game tomorrow. So
big Thursday night game with the Cowboys going down to New Orleans.
New Orleans.
Yeah. So that should be a good game.
It should be
both teams. Yeah.
Taysom Hill is starting tomorrow night, and he is going to be the guy. Obviously, Simeon's probably going to come in at some point. They don't know if they're going to have Kamara back and some of the other injured players. I think they're going to have Mark Ingram back. So
Kamara been practicing a little bit all week though. They thinking that he's right now 50-50, but you know how it is at the last minute. They always don't let nobody know until the game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Same with Amari Cooper. But looking at him today on landing in New Orleans, he didn't look good. He had his mask on and he looked like he was still sick. So, and the Cowboys have issues, obviously, with 9, and it's not players, but 9 people within the organization have COVID at some point, including, obviously, Mike McCarthy, the head coach. So
and you know, they knew going into this season that it was going to be some games like this or something to keep people going to be affected by COVID, and it's unfortunate, but you know, that's what next man got to step up. And of course, Dan Quayle gonna be the acting head coach.
Dan Quinn's gonna be the acting head coach, and I know they have some in the strength, in their strength and conditioning and other positions. Offensive line, he's still not healthy, so that's gonna be an interesting game. Cowboys are still favored by 4.5. So. That's good, and we'll see what happens. New Orleans has been struggling lately. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, they really look bad. Like they don't know how to win. Seems like they just going through some motions, but their defense hadn't been playing lights out like they was earlier. You know, so you're absolutely right. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And Lattimore, you know, he's one of the top corners, and he's just been okay. And it looks like, they have obviously good defensive players and offensive players. So we'll see what happens. Jerry said on his show that Zeke is going to get plenty load. So that'll be interesting because Elliott's hurt with his knee and leg, some other leg injuries. So that'll be interesting. But it's going to be an interesting game tomorrow. And the Cowboys, it's a must win. It is a must win because we'll talk about that later. The other teams in the NFC East are starting to breathe on them a little bit. Other than the Giants, the other teams are,
But the Giants can do a 4 or 5 game run. You know, I think just like the Cowboys did, they 6-game run, so we can flip the script a little bit. But,
no question.
It's a long season. 17
we're
weeks.
Going to talk about it because it'll be one of the biggest collapses ever. So. it'll be one of the biggest collapses ever if they.
I really don't see them collapsing, but I just know the strength of these schedulers is going to be key because the latter part of the season, these teams will be playing the conference game, division game.
Which is unusual this year because the Cowboys have to play the Washington football team twice. They play the Giants in New York and Philly in Pennsylvania, obviously, and those things. So that's interesting. And then they play the Cardinals at home, and they play the Saints tomorrow. So that's the end of the next 6 games. So we'll see what happens. But let's talk a little bit about what's going around the league. The Patriots, they're in first place after beating the Titans. And I think
36-13. 36-13.
They got after them. And Matt Jones threw for 300 yards, and that's 6 games in a row they've won. And they're getting hot at the right time. But
what you got to love about Mac Jones, he don't make mistakes. He's very coachable. He put in the time. He always there early in practice, and he done exactly what Belichick wanted to do. And and his supporting cast, the receivers are doing really good. They got this guy named Bourne that had a great game last week. So it seems like they got some emerging stars, and they're looking like the team in the AFC West. They're looking really good.
Yeah. And the thing about what's happening with them is that they have the quarterback, the offensive coordinator knows how to develop quarterbacks, as you can see, because he knows what Matt Jones does well, and he works the whole system around that. And that's pretty impressive. He wasn't a great head coach, but he is a great quarterback coach and teaching him how to play the game. And that's hard for a rookie. And Matt Jones is obviously a highly intelligent young man, but he's putting him in position to be successful. He's giving him plays that he knows that he can do well. And the Patriots actually have been running the ball better, and they're playing good.
Absolutely. I also say FC, football characteristic. Matt Jones, that's what he brings. That's what he brings to the table. And if you're a coachable, you can have a heck of a career in the NFL.
You can. And the one thing about what's happening with them, too, is that they play Buffalo this week. They play the Buffalo Bills. And this is going to be a good game because this is probably going to determine who wins the AFC East right now. And
Monday night football. Monday night football. Yeah.
So this will be interesting. And Buffalo, they're not a power running game like the teams that Buffalo has struggled with. So this will be interesting. And Josh Allen has got to play well this game. He's got to play well. He's got to play like he did in New Orleans. Right. So this will be interesting. And their defense has got to play better because obviously you've been associated with Belichick. They're going to try to run the ball. They're going to try to run the ball and pound it against Buffalo because teams, Titans, and some of the other teams took it to Buffalo, have been able to run the ball effectively. So that's
when the Bills played New Orleans this past weekend, they scored 31 points to 6, and it seemed like they woke up. The previous game they went to sleep, like they were running through the motion. Seemed like that they got their mojo back, and
Kamara and Ingram were both hurt. Yeah. So they didn't have a running game, and that's what helped the Bills. If a team has a running game, that's when Indianapolis is a perfect example. What they did with Jonathan Taylor. They pounded on them and stayed with the running game, and Buffalo struggled. Obviously, we know what Derrick Henry did against them, and the teams that have had success against them, other than the Jacksonville Jaguars, had a really powerful running game. And does New England have that kind of game to make them effective? And I think they're more of they schematically get after you than knock you off the ball. And they could prove me wrong this week.
Yeah, and those division games are very, very, competitive. You can just flip the coin up sometime in some of those division games. And, the Bills and the Patriots, they are 2 of the top teams that's going to the playoff. I consider both of those teams going to the playoffs, and we're going to see who can finish the season really, really strong,
Yeah. And next thing we can talk about is Miami. We left them for dead a couple weeks ago. Now they've got their 4th win in a row. They're surging. They beat Carolina, which I picked Carolina to win 33-10. And but it's too late at 5-7. I don't think it's too late because of the way it's so competitive in the NFL this year, and especially in the AFC, but even in the NFC. And I think they got a chance. But can they keep this up? Can they play?
Well, one of the things you got to know about Miami, they have one of the youngest teams in the NFL, and this is the second half. So maybe they got the momentum going, and also seem like they're playing on all different levels with all their players. Waddle. He was doing the waddle.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like that. I like that one.
I got to learn how to do that waddle, man. I like that right there.
That was pretty good. I got to give them.
That wide receiver, man, that made me. Hey, I was excited about to see Miami because everybody had stuck a fork in them this year.
Yeah, they did.
And they are playing good football. I thought Carolina Panthers was going to have some momentum with Cam Newton, blah, blah, blah. But, man, Miami put it to them. Yeah,
and they benched Cam Newton. McCaffrey now, he's on IR for the rest of the season. And this is Carolina looks like a team. Maybe Matt Rule is going to Notre Dame. Maybe he says, forget this.
Well, man, these jobs are, football is every day you wake up, it's news out there now.
True.
So
that is
these
true.
coaches are moving, and everybody is wide open to making some things happen. And the Notre Dame job is a really great job. So it's definitely a time to see what's going to happen with some of these elite coaches.
Yeah. As somebody asked, was a terrible signing McCaffrey for Carolina. My biggest thing with McCaffrey was always because he's slight. When we played him, I coached at the University of Colorado, and the first time he really destroyed us. He beat us pretty bad. But the second time we played him, we got after him and beat him up. He was beat up because he's not a big guy.
No.
And that's what always was my fear. I know you're a big Arizona fan with Kyler Murray. This is a big man sport, as you know. And you're getting hit with some big, powerful guys. And that's what's happening to McCaffrey. And that's what's happening to, obviously Kyler Murray. I mean, they're getting pounded.
For his football IQ, this guy's the most talented running back it is.
Oh, yeah.
Football league. It's just staying healthy. And once those injuries hit year after year that they hit them last year, 2 years, it is hard to be sustainable. And 16, 17 game schedule like it is now, it is, you got to have some good backup players. But, it's one of those things where once that injury bug hits you, sometimes it's hard to stay healthy in the NFL.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And that's the big thing but back to Miami, they're showing that if they're starting to get healthy, and like you said, once you stay healthy, you can improve, especially in the second part of the season when you get your health. And that's what's happened. Tua's getting better. They said he was more worried about his ribs than his thumb. And if he can stay upright, they got a chance. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs, but they'll make a good run at it.
Hey, Jim, I was going to ask you a question. When you were playing, was you ever put on the injury reserve?
No, the last year I was playing, I had a tore my knee. Tore my meniscus, and had a meniscus tear. And that was the first time I've ever actually missed a game. I didn't miss a game in 15 seasons till my last season of playing.
You remember about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we had Gary Reason on here. He was talking about, the way we used to practice, the way they practice now compared to the way they used to practice back then. And the way these injuries occur now and having these backup players, depth is a big factor in that.
Yeah, I agree.
I think too, a lot of these players come in not in shape, even though they work out year round. But back in the day, man, we used to be in top shape when we had to report in. So I don't know what it is. I don't know if injury. I've never been on injury reserve. That's why I asked you that question because, we when hardly none of us on injury reserve. We usually have 8 guys on injury reserve. Now they got 10 or more guys on injury reserve. Most of these teams.
I never forget because obviously I coached for Bill Parcells, and he would turn the temperature down in the training room, and it made it miserable if you were in there. He turned it down to about, I think it was like 50 degrees. So guys hated it in there. But I also think what happened is that the rules have changed from when we played, and the kids don't get acclimated to getting hit. I really believe that you have to get acclimated to being hit on a consistent basis. You can't just walk out there and think you look like Tarzan and you're going to be able to take those hits. Your body has to learn to absorb those hits. And that's what I think is happening. And I think that's what Joe Judge was trying to do at the New York Giants. But unfortunately, it's a different era. And these kids, like you said, work out all the time. They don't ever give their chance a body to recover.
I see that somebody said, is there a difference between toughness and being in shape? I got my jaw broken, and I thought sure they were going to put my injury reserve. All they did was put a shield on my helmet, and they said, Byron, you got the blocking duties. I had a lot of blocking duties as a wide receiver because I was benching 360. But my point is, I think there's a difference between toughness and being in shape.
Oh, no question.
And I think there's also a difference in your heart, whether you want to play or you want to just go in and throw in the towel. And I just think too, a lot of these players are throwing in the towel. That's the way I see it.
Well, I think some of these players, for just like you, I broke my hand and I had a compound fracture. All they did was wrap it up because they said, hey, we can't give you surgery in the middle of the game. So I just wrapped it up and went and played. And to me, that was just common back there. It's just like I told you when Herschel was on the show. He had dislocated his shoulder, and he goes to me, Jam, I dislocated my shoulder. I said, you better go see the trainer, Herschel. He said, nah, just pull it, it'll pop back in the socket. And I
pulled it. Running a lot. Just put it back in place. Let me go back out there.
Yeah, and that was just the way.
Lawrence Taylor and Carl Banks, Harry Carson, they played injured, but they stayed on the football field.
Yeah, but now I did play with some players that if they had a cold, they weren't going to play. I played with those type of players, and they were really good. You'd be shocked at how good they were. But for the majority of them, I thought that Tony Dorsett is a great example of a guy with, toughness, just physical toughness. He played with broken ribs. He played with broken bones in his back, a broken wrist. He was just one of those Pittsburgh steel mill tough guys, and that was it. And you saw.
And another thing too, not to think about the turf was so hard back.
Oh yeah, especially at Philly, if you remember. That third base. It seemed like you were at third base all the time. And that
was the worst football field ever, the Philly field.
The other one was Cincinnati Bengals.
Everybody talk about the Philly field and the Houston Oilers over Astrodome field. It was terrible.
To this day, I can never understand on that Astrodome, why would they have fireworks in a place that had no air? Half the game you play in smoke. You play in smoke. It was the craziest thing. And then it'd be hot and humid. It was just unusual.
Man, you couldn't even breathe in that baby.
No, you couldn't. So we get back to some of the games. Let's talk about Denver defense. They're making a statement now. We talk about how obviously they beat there, but they beat the Chargers 28-13.
Yeah. Denver got some players back healthy. Everybody was like, they traded Von Miller, but man, they had some other linebackers to step up. They got some players, they know what they have on their team, and they're playing well. And Denver just one of those teams that's still in the hunt.
Yeah, they are. They really are. And I've always liked Teddy Bridgewater. Before his injury, he was a franchise quarterback. But I tell you, as they talk about Trayvon Diggs, the cornerback, is really playing well. He ran a touchdown, and he's an excellent quarterback. His father, obviously, he comes from a good lineage. So his father played in the NFL too, and I can't remember his name actually right now, but he's a really good a good player. And then somebody said they're making Herbert look like a rookie. I mean, they're getting
Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
And you know that's what good teams do. They tend to play this defense that trick the quarterback, and then next thing you know, they throwing interception, turning the ball over. And Denver, man, they seem like they moving at the right time for
exactly. And we talk about it just like you said before. They're getting healthy at the right time. Their body's acclimated to what's going on, and they're ready to play, and they're playing. And Vic Fangio's always been a good coach. He's been a tremendous defensive coach. And you can say, and you see these high-powered offenses, I really believe that the teams that stay successful for a long time learn how to play defense. And I'm not saying that you have to score. We obviously know. But if you can play defense and you can get it, especially at this part of the season, and you can run the ball effectively, you got a chance. So that's the thing.
Yeah, defense and running the ball, those two factors in right now. You can see teams that's winning. That's what they bring to the table.
Yeah. And that's the thing. The reason is because as the weather change, it's different. And playing in New York and obviously playing in the NFC East and the AFC East, you're going to have to deal with weather. And that makes it a lot tougher.
And that NFC North with that Green Bay.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's playing up there in Chicago.
Exactly. Unfortunately, Chicago's not like that. That's Chicago, but you're right, Green Bay. But they got a special player. They can say what they want. And you can disagree with some of his things he does off the field. But when Aaron Rodgers walks on the field, he's obviously ready to play.
Let me say this about this one team that people better start looking at. That's the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yes.
They score some points. They fun to watch.
Yes.
And seem like Burrows and Chase and they 41 points against the Steelers. This past weekend. The Bengals looking pretty good.
Yeah, they can run the ball. They can throw the ball. And like you said, Jamar Chase is a different man. I thought that people had finally figured him out, but the wide receiver coach is a real good friend of mine. He's Troy Walters, and he's a tremendous coach. You might see him out there in pads working. His father was a coach, a longtime coach in the NFL, and he understands about the NFL and getting those receivers ready to play.
A lot of times, I'm just looking at the receivers. You can tell when it's a good receiver coach. Those guys, they keeping their eyes on the ball. They don't make mistakes. They're not jumping off sides. They're not holding downfield. Blah blah blah. The little things what you can pick up, and you see that the Bengals receivers, they playing good football.
Yeah, their running game is good too. They got two big time running backs. So
Nixon, he's from OU.
And Perrine, I think that's how you said, is his backup. He's an OU guy too. So they got some running backs.
The OU guys, exactly.
So here's one that's going to bust you up is the Rams, 3 in a row. Did you ever expect that we were talking about Green Bay? And I did. I finally picked one right. I picked the Green Bay. I think you picked the Rams on that one.
You think I did?
I think you did. I know you did.
Well, I did. It's hard to see the Rams lose 3 in a row. So maybe that's what I was thinking about. but it's hard to win in Green Bay too. So it's one of those. It was one of those games you toss up the coin. But the Rams right now, they trying to find their identity with the changes, and of course they got OBJ there now. And they still got to get some time and put together. But, You know, they just thought their defense was gonna be able to carry them, but man, I'm telling you, they've been exposed. And so Green Bay looked real good against the Rams.
And we got a question: is it better to have a good group of receivers or all-star? I think you have to have a group of receivers that work together. You can have one all-star, and they got Cooper Kupp. But I think what happened to the Rams, they got an all-star team. They don't have a team. They don't have role players. You got to have role players. In another sport, everybody was talking about the Lakers were going to run away with the division out west, and they're struggling because you got 5 individuals that are used to being stars, and that's what's happening to the Rams. They got a bunch of individuals that are used to being stars, but who are the role players? Who are going to do the dirty work? They don't really have that person. I mean, in every position, they got Jalen Ramsey, they got Von Miller now, Aaron Donald, but who are their role players that you can say? Cooper Kupp, he's the star, but Odell Beckham, I know you're a big fan of his, but now they said he's a little injured too.
Yeah, he's not healthy. He got some nicks and bruises and stuff. But yeah, you definitely have to have role players, and you have to fit into the equation of how to make things work on the chemistry part of it. You know, for moving the ball, making first down, making big plays. You know, so many different plays. You got to be able to use every position. The tight end, you slide back, and you know, you just got to have that chemistry. And right now, they still trying to find their way, I think.
Yeah, and we had that. It is foot soldiers, because you're not going to have, unless you develop that team, which is hard in the salary cap era, and they stay together. You're not going to have teams that stay together. So those foot soldiers have got to be go. When you bring guys in, they got to understand that Aaron Donald's the star, that Jalen Ramsey is the star, that Cooper Kupp, and work around that, because they're going to get the majority of the press and everything. So those things.
And I think Matt Stafford is trying to satisfy everybody as a receiver. I think you just got to continue to watch and see who's open. You got to see. Yeah. You got to keep moving that ball down the field and let the game come to you. Don't try to force the ball in there and do some things that you don't necessarily need to do. And I think, throwing interceptions here and there. So I think, too, that's one of my concerns with them. They can't, not force it, but make sure that you're moving the ball, be consistent with your downs, being able to score. If you can't score a touchdown, let's kick a field goal. Let's put some points on the board, and let's control the game. And then give it to your defense to stop the other side.
Exactly. But here's the interesting thing, and I've always thought this when Stafford went to the Rams. Everybody thought I was crazy because he had all these great stats at Detroit, but he didn't win games. He did not win games, and he threw for, 1,000 yards. But what is the direction that a quarterback should go? He should be able to win games. And at the beginning, he did win games, but now they're saying he's a little banged up and everything, and he's not playing at a high level. And just like he's throwing interceptions, he's not making good plays. He's trying to get everybody involved. The great quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers has a problem.
I was going to say Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, that's what they do. They win games.
Do. They know, special perfect example, and we'll get to a little later, Tom Brady used Gronk big this week. They ran the ball with Fournette. Aaron Rodgers knows that he uses other receivers, but Devontae Adams is the one, and he knows that.
But if you stop to think about it too, Jim, Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, they know that they always in the game. Yep. They want the ball. They want the ball going into the last drive, the last minute. We still in it to win it. That's their attitude.
Exactly. And that's the thing. That's what makes them. There's only maybe at the most 4 quarterbacks in the whole NFL that could take over a game and win it. And he said, only 4? That's true. And that's it. And somebody said Aaron Rodgers, he might be a game show host, but it's who's going to beat me now? Because he does things off there and he says things, but when it comes to playing on Sunday, he makes plays. And that's why
we saw 3 weeks ago that Green Bay can't win without him.
Yeah.
And he's out there playing with a little broken toe and all that type of stuff. And that's what these guys do. They play with pain, and they don't talk about it. They just go out and do it. And now I'm not trying to be a Aaron Rodgers fan, but his
no. You have to be impressed because guys that can do what he does under he has the toe problem. They're talking about doing surgery on it, but he is a guy that makes plays, and that's why somebody asked me, would the locker room be upset with him? They're not going to be upset with him as long as they win game, because that's more money in their pocket. So they know that, and they know, just like you said, they can't win without Aaron Rodgers.
Green Bay is 9-3, baby. That says a lot,
Yeah, and I'm hoping they will get home field advantage, because you might as well mark them in for the Super Bowl.
Well, the Arizona Cardinals better play better, because I'm telling you, Green Bay is in the hunt.
Yes. Now let's go over to the 49ers. They're making a move. They beat the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. Yeah. And now they did get some injuries now. They lost Warner out I think he's out for 2 or 3 weeks. And then they lost Debo is going to be down with a groin injury.
That Debo, a bad boy. It was 34-26. But, what I like about the 49ers, they got a great coach. They got somebody that can lead, guide them, and help them turn when they need to turn, and get back into the focus of things. That's a great coach. That's what a coach does, and that's what they build their team around that coach.
Yeah, and that's the thing I noticed about it. And you're right, Kyle Shanahan is a lot similar to Harbaugh. They never complain, John Harbaugh. They never complain about who's not there. They just utilize the schematically of the guys that are there. They find a way to get the best out of what they have on the field. And that's what you were saying with best man up or next man up. And that's what they do. They might not have been a star at the beginning of the season, but now they become a star. They're the next man up. And they find a way to get those guys to play at a high level. Now, it's going to be interesting without Debo and Warner, Debo on offense, because he makes a lot of plays, and Warner on defense, the linebacker, and see if they can keep that kind of intensity up.
Yeah, and I think when you after your 10th, 11th game of the season, now you see what the value of your coaches. This is when you really start cutting out the fat and say, oh yeah, this don't look right. And so these coaches now that really can coach, they getting that team ready for the big run. Yeah,
they are. And I said this a couple of weeks ago. San Francisco was in the game against Arizona, and it was probably those same officials that did the Cowboys and the Oakland game, because they had some really bad calls against them that took them out of the game, and they were questionable calls. And now San Francisco is playing better than they had to. They haven't got some of those guys back yet, but if they do, they got a chance. I think the 49ers. But it's the way it is now in the NFL, it's a week at a time. You can't look too far ahead.
Just think about this: the Rams are 7-4, the 49ers are 6-5. It's a lot more football to be played.
That's right.
One of those teams gonna definitely be a wild card team.
No question.
If the Cardinals continue to play the way they playing, for us winning the AFC West.
Yeah,
the NFC West.
So somebody asked, who are your playoff teams? Obviously, Tampa Bay is going to be in there. After that, Dallas has got to start playing better. They should be in the playoffs, but it's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee. And the reason I say that is because the NFC East is getting a little tougher. Giants won last week against Philly. Washington won again last week against Seattle, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. So I don't know. I'm saying the Cowboys right now, Tampa Bay, Green Bay will probably be the number 1 seed. Let's look at
the Cowboys,
Arizona,
the Cardinals, Green Bay, and
Arizona,
the NFC, and then you got the Rams.
I think the Cardinals are there.
The Cardinals, you got the Cardinals. Oh yeah, the Cardinals. Yeah, the Cardinals. Those are your 4 teams, the 4 division leaders right there.
Yeah.
The Cowboys, the Cardinals,
Now,
Green Bay.
who are your wild card teams?
The wild card right now is the Rams. Right now, they the
You think the Rams?
Season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't think
Rams
people come from the NFCs because they're starting to play better?
I don't know. Well, I don't know if Washington for real yet. I'm gonna give them this week to see. Who is that talking about? Cook? Oh, okay.
You're a frat.
Somebody know my nickname. Oh, yeah, Michael Wright.
What's up, Cook?
Michael Wright. That boy grew up on there in East Texas. You know, he know my nickname. He came over here to UTA. So what's up, Michael Wright?
Oh, he was UTA, But
yeah, he's a Capper, man. He's one of those Cappers.
Yeah. So, what was the what were your wild card teams?
Oh, my wild card team right now is gonna be the Rams and the Vikings might sneak in there. But definitely the 49ers might be in that as well. So it what 7 teams get to go? 7 teams?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
in division.
Because there's only one bye this year.
Right.
So I'm going to go with my wild card teams are going to be Washington. I think Washington is starting to make a move. And let's see, the other one probably be Minnesota. That's what I'm looking at. Or 49ers, excuse me. The
49ers.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 49ers. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be 7 teams go, right? So, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Michael Wright, he was talking about what he was talking about. What he mentioned something a minute ago.
Talking about Jason Garrett.
Oh, Jason Garrett needs to go. Yeah.
What do you think about that move?
I think they had to make a move just because of what was going on with the Rams. Jason Garrett. I like Jason Garrett, to be honest.
Yeah, I do too.
I just think, unfortunately, somebody had to leave, so he was their scapegoat.
But do you think their offense was that much more effective without him there, with Freddie Kitchens running?
No,
I didn't think so. I thought it was the same offense personally, but I didn't think there was anything new about it. And I didn't think the offense got better. I thought the offense was the same. Now they got an issue. Because if you read what's going on is Daniel Jones has got a neck injury and I think something else.
Yeah, he got a neck injury. Yeah,
and he's questionable for this week.
They
play Miami. They play Miami.
I tell you what, they can't win with that second string quarterback. The Giants can't win with it. I tell you that now.
No. So that's the thing. I didn't see anything that was to say, wow, it wasn't a wow, but it's the first game without Garrett. So we'll see.
But you know what? I did like the way the defense played. Defense played pretty good. They hung in there. I mean, they played hard football. They played giant football.
And one thing I noticed that you might disagree with me is that I thought Saquon ran the ball better this week. This was the best running game he's had this year.
I think he was running without worrying about his leg, his knee. And
you
can see the difference. You can see the difference.
Yeah, but that's the thing about running backs is, they have there's certain running backs, but the majority of running backs have a short shelf life because of the pounding they take. You have the exceptions to every rule, but that's the thing you have is a short shelf life. You might be up on the top for 4 or 5 years, but you're going to go down real quick and maybe and we said that at the beginning of the year about Derrick Henry, that there's a possibility that he could go down and then all running backs, because you're taking a tremendous beating in that position. And that's why when I worked for Bill Parcells, he didn't like to draft running backs high because of that. He liked offensive linemen because he thought they had a longer shelf life.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes, sir. So, what about the Bucks and the Colts? What you think about that game?
I thought that was a good game, and I thought that was probably the game of the week. I thought the Bucks coach, And I thought the coach was gonna get him for a minute there.
The coach came out blazing.
He came out blazing. And then
came out blazing. Yeah.
And then Tom Brady started to play like Tom Brady. He said, wait a minute, I might be 40-something years old, but I ain't gonna play like I'm 40. And then Gronk got off, and then Fournette. I mean, they started playing well. But I tell you what, the Colts are gonna be tough. And we talked about our predictions in the NFC East and the NFC, who's going to be the teams. And excuse me, the leaders in the AFC are right now is New England.
Right.
Buffalo's going to be in there.
Right.
But you got in the Central, that's a tough one because you got Cincinnati. And then you got in the West, you have Kansas City.
Kansas City 7-4. The Chargers are 6-5. The Raiders are 6-5. The Broncos are 6-5.
Yeah.
All in the AFC West.
Exactly.
And the AFC South, you got the Titans are 8-4. And then you got the Colts. They 6-6. In the AFC North, you got the Ravens. They 8-4. And of course, you got those Bengals are 7-4. And then the Steelers are 5-5-1. And the Browns are 6-6. So I mean, AFC is really after you're talking about the Tennessee Titans, the Patriots and the Bills and the Ravens and the Chiefs. Other than that, you can flip the coin up.
I think New England's going to slip in there. And I think I think New England's going to get in, and I think Baltimore is going to find a way to get in. I think Baltimore.
Well, I tell you now, Belichick is playing for a home field advantage in the AFC. If they can continue to win, and this gonna be a game Monday night. You know, gonna decide who will probably have that AFC home field advantage in the West. So that'd be good.
Yeah, that will be good. And let's talk about a little bit about the Washington football team. I would have never thought this with Hinkie, what they're doing right now. But there's a thing that you always talk about. Is they're starting to get healthy. They don't have Sweat or Young, but they're starting to play better defensively, and they're becoming more effective running the quarterback them running the ball. They're becoming more effective running the ball. And their receiver.
Yeah, and I used to see McKissick. He went to Arkansas State. He got excellent hands out the backfield.
He really does.
He had scored a couple touchdowns. And he got hurt at the end of the game, but if he's healthy, man, Washington's gonna be hard to beat because they are unpredictable now on offense.
Yeah, Scary Terry. Yeah, he makes plays, and Washington is, and they're making a run. I mean, what is that? Since they beat the Buccaneers, they're starting to say, "Hey, we don't forget about us." This is gonna be. I'm telling you, it's gonna be a battle in the NFC East. There's gonna be a battle coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, it really, really is. I mean, it's good to see teams winning, and everybody just knew that Washington wasn't gonna win this game, but man, they played lights out football.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, and then somebody's talking about the Eagles and the Giants. I don't know if the Eagles played bad or the Giants played really good. I think Hurts is getting better, and then they're going the receiver. He slips my name, but they were on him about it. But sometimes you got to be as a quarterback, you got to be in a position to help your receivers, and Hurts didn't in this game. But I still
Devontae Smith. You talking about Devontae Smith?
No, Devontae Smith played. It's the other one that he missed a 2-point play with.
Avalar. Yeah.
He helped him, and there's another one. His father played in the league too. The other receiver, he was the one who missed it. And,
yeah. Number 18.
Yeah,
not number 18, but I know you're talking about. Yeah, he. I mean, Jalen Hurts put the ball right there.
Yeah, and he dropped it.
He dropped it.
He dropped it.
Yeah.
And the Eagles go back to MetLife Stadium. They play the Jets this week.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they do, but I don't think the Eagles are bad. I think the Eagles and you're gonna have bumps, and the Eagles have bumps.
13-7 though. I mean, the Eagles they've been scoring a lot of points, and seemed like they just couldn't get their mojo going. They couldn't get the chemistry. They couldn't move the ball up and down the field.
Yeah,
and you know, to me, the Eagles don't forgot about their tight end. They used to strive off of using their tight end in the offensive scheme of things, and they're not doing that anymore.
100%. And Dallas Goedert just got a big contract too, and they forgot about him. And we have their big guy Pags on every Sunday, and he talks about the Eagles' game plan, and that was his complaint. They think that Hurts struggles throwing over the middle. And then the Eagles didn't. That's true. The Eagles didn't run the ball. They stopped running the ball. And I think that's more in panic mode when they stop running.
Well, you know, the Eagles fans, that's all they was talking about. Let's run the ball. Let's run the ball. So, yeah, if you don't run the ball with the Eagles and their fans, they're going to let you know.
But that's a lot of teams in the NFL now. And I think you talk about the L.A. Rams. That's what happened to the L.A. Rams. They stopped running. When they can't run the ball, they're not effective. I know Sean McVay is a very good coach. But if you're not running the ball, especially at this time of year, you're going to struggle. And the teams that have been successful, and I'm just going back to the successful teams, and Tampa Bay. What did they do really well in the Super Bowl against Kansas City? Ran the ball.
Yeah.
You know, they had the two-headed monster, but they ran the ball well, and especially and played good defense, and that's the thing. And that's why New England's always in it, like you said. New England's always in it because the ball, play good defense. And it's boring football. It's not, you know, it's not exciting. It's not arcade football, but
that's why I think the coach gonna make the playoffs. You know, they got the best running team right now. They put some numbers up at running the ball, and that's what gonna help them, you know, be sustainable.
Yeah,
and the Bengals. If you look at the Bengals, you know, they run the ball. They ran the ball last game.
Mixon and Perrine, but I think it's boring, but it's smart because it helps your quarterback because he's not, first of all, taking the pounding, but it opens up things for him.
I tell you, the team that got some pressure on them right now is the Browns.
Yes.
They got two great running backs.
Yes.
Baker Mayfield is probably looking for a new contract. There's a lot of things happening in Cleveland, and they're not pulling. They 6-6, okay, and they looking iffy, you know.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, and I agree with you 100%. They are looking questionable, and they're supposed to have this great defense with Myles Garrett and things of that nature, and they're not playing that way. They're not playing to the ability, and you see teams like that. We thought that a couple of teams were going to be really good this year, but they struggled because they're not playing up to their potential. So that's the thing that happens, and they have to be able to get back to the winning ways. Everybody thought Cleveland was going to win last week, and they couldn't win. You know, see.
Well, the Ravens, man. You just got to play a perfect game to beat them.
And we talked about John Harbaugh and what kind of coach he is and how he plays. You know, and funny thing about it, I know we talk about pro football, but Jim Harbaugh is the same way. Jim Harbaugh beat Ohio State. I know the weather was bad, but a bad weather team, he was running the ball, pushing and playing good defense, and making plays in the snow and the things of that nature. Bad weather teams are tough to beat as the season.
I remember one of the things that Bill Parcells used to say, hey, I don't want nobody reading the paper, don't read the media. You just stay focused on not making no mistakes, and we got to do this, A, B, and C, right? And so some of these teams are looking at the clipping. We second, we rate number 2, blah, blah, blah. You don't do that. Because you're not even going in with a focused mind, you know. So that's one of the things that you have to make sure. And that's where the coaching come in. That's where your leadership come in on your team. That's where your team captains come in at to make sure all these knuckleheads are staying focused on what they need to do for us playing the game of football.
No question. I agree with you 100%. And I sometimes, that happens in my team, Dallas Cowboys. They started believing the hype, and you can't believe them. We used to have in the middle of our locker room is a little thing where there's a train coming through it and people jumping off of it. It had people jumping off it, reporters, fans, and things like that, because that's what's going to happen. People are going to love you for it if you win it. They're going to hate you if you lose it. That's just.
I just saw a comment about Brian Kelly leaving Notre Dame. I talked to Tim Brown. We had Rocket on a couple of weeks. I talked to Tim Brown this week, and I just think Notre Dame is a job that everybody wants. I just don't think Brian Kelly should have left. But I'm telling you, that just goes to show you that these coaches now is all about getting paid.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Yeah, go ahead.
But I just think, for me, he should have stayed. But he's following 3 coaches that coached at LSU that won the national championship, and we're gonna see what he's gonna do. But he's saying that he wanted to come there for the university, but it ain't no bigger than being at Notre Dame. So LSU and Notre Dame, to me, is almost parallel.
Yeah, but here's the thing that I'm thinking about when I think of Brian Kelly. He's 60 years old. And this will probably be his last time. Obviously, he's making $95 million over 8 years, but he's 65. He's 60 years old. He's 60 years old. So he's looking at it. I don't have a lot much time left in this game. So his possibility is that I'm going to do it now. I'm going to get this money. I got a chance. LSU's interest to get into LSU is not like getting into Notre Dame. So he has that opportunity too down in Louisiana. And that's not saying that LSU is a bad school academically, but they don't have the strict rules to get in that they do at Notre Dame. So he can get more players in. And he's going to have free reign.
Yeah, he have free reign, and they give him a lot of leeway to do what he needs to do to make sure they can be very competitive. And going into the SEC, you better be on top of your game.
Yeah, he's on the Alabama side too. He's on the Alabama side, and I think he'll never say it, but I think Lincoln Riley, because Texas, and I don't know how they're going to separate it, but Texas and OU, one of them is going to be on Alabama's side. And they're gonna have to deal with Nick Saban every year.
Lincoln Riley, a smart guy. He made the right move. He made the right move. I didn't see Brian Kelly leaving Notre Dame, but hey, that's my opinion. I don't know. But money talks,
Yeah, and what Lincoln Riley got, they brought his house. It was worth $500,000. They brought it for $1 million. They give him a $6.6 million house in LA. So
I need when I go out there to the Super Bowl, I need to see if it can let me stay in one of them rooms out there. But that's what I need to do.
$6.6 million house in LA is a lot different than in Texas.
And Oklahoma, yeah, exactly.
And so you might not even have but 4 rooms in LA.
But that comes with a maid, show, whatever you need.
True. You got 24/7. He can use the jet.
I forgot about that. He can play the way he wants to.
24/7. His family could go anytime they want to.
Yeah, man, that's nice. I can congratulations to the coaches. Hey, if you can get more money, go get it. That's what they're doing. That's what everybody's doing.
Somebody brought up this fact, and I didn't ever think about that. He won with Baker Mayfield, who was a transfer from Texas Tech, because he couldn't beat out Mahomes. He won with Kyler Murray, who was a transfer from Texas A&M. He won with obviously Jalen Hurts, who was a transfer. But he's never truly, what quarterback has he developed? I'm just asking, because Caleb Williams was good, but he didn't win with him. And
then Spencer Rattler, he transported.
So what quarterback did he truly develop?
He was developing Spencer Rattler, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, and it didn't happen with Caleb Williams. He had won championships with transfers.
Right, exactly.
And somebody also brought up this point. I know we're getting off of pro football, but also is when Bob Stoops won the national championship, they were one of the top defenses in the country. And there's an imbalance with his offenses and their defenses. He didn't put as much emphasis on defense.
No,
but that's the same thing. And why we say that is because it's the same thing in the NFL. Teams that don't emphasize getting better on defense are going to struggle, especially when you get to the playoffs.
Yeah. And that's why I like Georgia winning it all. They just unstoppable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Michigan plays some good defense, too. Cincinnati, all those teams that are in the top 4 teams are really good defensive teams.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's
it's some good football. I mean, that's why they say cream rises to the top. Cream rises to the top.
Yep. That's why I'm always on top. So I know.
Well, we're gonna find out. Like I predicted the Raiders beat the Cowboys last week, so I don't know. I started to call you and talk about you.
Oh man, I guarantee you this week that the Cowboys are gonna win. They're gonna win this week. That is gonna have a super game. Pollard is gonna take over the game. Zeke is gonna be okay.
Well, I'm gonna predict the Giants beat the Dolphins. Okay. The Giants beat the Dolphins.
Yeah. If Daniel Jones plays.
And the Cowboys, they better get well before tomorrow night. I'll tell you that.
Now, here is a fact that the Cowboys have never beaten New Orleans. They're in blue uniforms. They've never beaten that in New Orleans.
They always said about them old blue uniforms. They always say if a team want to win a game, they have the Cowboys wear that blue uniform.
I never liked wearing those blue uniforms. I don't know. Maybe they were tighter. Who knows? And then the Cowboys have all the issues with COVID, but I'm going with my Cowboys. I guarantee you they're going to win. You guarantee the Giants going to win? I guarantee the Cowboys going to win.
Yeah, man. I'm glad we ain't got no real money on this stuff because I have some fat pockets around here.
Yeah. You got lucky last week.
Hey, I'm just a football guru. I know the stuff.
A guru? Another guru.
A guru. I'm a guru.
A guru. Giants ain't gonna win without Daniel Jones.
I know that. Well, we
sacked the second string quarterback.
Hey,
I'm 50 years old.
Just like we beat the Eagles 13-7, we can win 2-0. We can win 2-0. We going to get a
guaranteeing the Giants will win.
I ain't gonna guarantee the Giants will win. But I tell you what, the Giants is playing good football now.
Yeah, they play good.
We got to go down to Miami. We talked about that
in Miami. I'm guarantee you they're gonna be in trouble. Miami's a different place now. I keep telling you.
Yeah, they go to Miami this week. Golly, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Well, we getting to that 2-minute warning now. Uh-oh.
Anything so you like the Cowboys?
I like the
Giants. The Colts gonna beat the Texans.
Yeah, the Colts.
The Vikings gonna beat Detroit.
Yes.
The Bucs gonna beat the Atlanta Falcons.
Yes.
The Eagles gonna beat the Jets. The Cardinals gonna beat the Bears.
Yeah.
The Chargers gonna lose to the Bengals.
Yeah.
And the Jaguars gonna lose to the Rams. The Rams gonna get back on the winning track.
Yeah.
And Washington against the Raiders. What you think about that one?
I'm gonna go with the Raiders. I'm gonna go with Washington because Raiders are a little banged up. Waller is not gonna be able to play, and Deshaun Jackson is injured too. So.
Okay, and then we have the Ravens against the Steelers. They go to the Steelers.
I'm gonna go with the Ravens.
The Ravens go to the Steelers. Huh?
The Ravens.
And I don't know what the Seattle Seahawks look like. The 49ers go to Seattle.
49ers. Niners.
And Sunday night game gonna be the Broncos and Kansas City.
Broncos.
And then Monday night, the Patriots at the Buffalo Bills.
Buffalo.
You always said Buffalo. I'm going with the Patriots.
All right. Well, that's it for us. Hey, thank you for spending some time with us.
I'm gonna do that.
Get the water. Get the water. Get the water.
But you know what? The Jazz gonna put the water in the water.
All right. Hey, everybody have a great rest of this hump day. Hump day. Have a great rest of the week.
We'll see you.